Football with friends. It's fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Thursday, a Final Takes Thursday, the final show of the week. Getting out a day early today as I'm getting out of town tomorrow. So wish me luck. And wish luck to the wide receivers for the Texas Longhorns who are going to have to step up and maybe get a lot of extra playing time this spring because it looks like DeAndre Moore is going to be kind of missing some time. We talked about that on Monday a little bit whenever Steve Sarkisian at his media availability talked about the players who were going to be out for the spring or at least pretty severely limited. And of those guys, we knew that Derek Williams was going to be limited and CJ Baxter, and we expected he would say Christian Clark, the running back, was not going to be able to participate. Oddly enough, he said he was actually kind of impressed with how Christian Clark looked. I still don't think he'll participate that much. We knew Colton Vasek, he had the shoulder surgery. But then DeAndre Moore, and Cody, whenever he said that, did you have to kind of rack your brain and say, dude, we talk about this football team for an hour a day, or not just the football team. We talk about the draft and a bunch of other ancillary topics too. It's not just about the Longhorns, but clearly it's it's on.
We dig for Texas stuff every single day. That's the point.
Did you think to yourself, did I just have a stroke or an aneurysm and just forget that there was an issue with DeAndre Moore that I should have been monitoring this whole time as far as his spring availability?
I, honest to God, listening to the press conference, I know you and Jason were doing notes, but I'm like sitting here multitasking. I heard it, and it's one of the things where you hear it, and I thought to myself, wait, what? And I typed up a message in our team chat, and the question was, I know DeAndre Moore was hurt this year with a foot injury. Did I miss something? Did I miss a surgery? Did I miss something something came official? And honestly, Alex, hand on the Bible, I felt like a dummy because I was going to ask that question in the team chat. I never sent the message because I was like, I must be dumb or something. And then we came and did the show that night, and I was like, okay, so we're all on the same page that was just kind of like he just threw it out there. And I wonder how many people in the Texas media caught it and was like, wait, DeAndre Moore's not practicing, right? Because the question was phrased, I think it was just straight up, you had the list of players that aren't going to be available for the spring. And Sark's like, I wish I had the list. I knew I should have wrote it down. And then he goes, the first ones that came to mind, right? And DeAndre Moore was one of the first ones that came to mind. Like that's, I was,
what?
Did I miss something? Like that was my whole, for like literally 10 minutes. The rest of the press conference was like, man, what did I miss? I'm an idiot. That's my whole thought.
It's your most experienced receiver returning. Clearly, it's a big storyline, and we'll get to more of it. Before we do, I want to just address some of this. We have said in the chat saying Tournament T might have coached us to the dance. This guy here saying Tournament. Are we really doing this? Tournament T? They're calling Rodney Terry Tournament. Are we really getting back on board with this guy?
Well, I tell you who's not Tournament T. No, Tournament T didn't coach anybody to the dance. Tournament T is Trey Johnson, who shot their way to the dance. Let's just put it that way.
I didn't even watch. I've been out out on the trail, so I didn't even see any of it.
I didn't watch a lick of it. I saw 2 baskets on Twitter.
Okay. Well, dude, I mean, it's just like people aren't here to this is football with friends. This is not sports with friends. People, you would be a complete ignoramus to listen to my opinions about basketball because I don't even know what it means to set a screen or to, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know what they're doing out there, but I do know, I'll just say this, dude. I think Rodney Terry stinks. They need to get a new coach. And if he gets them back to we all like the golden handcuffs, man. We talk about it on the show all the time, right? The golden handcuffs of Derek Carr. He's gonna get you to 7-8 wins. Never, ever going to get you over the hump, right? Those Southwest Airlines, they get you from point A to point B, but those points, all they are is just a depreciating asset that you have to hold on to that becomes worth less and less and less by every single year. This guy, if he continues to get Texas just by squeezing his way into the tournament after just bad seasons and then not even really doing that much in the tournament, I think it's foolish. I think it's foolish to keep on going back to the well with a guy like this, man. But hey,
I think listening to you and I's takes on basketball, our alliteration of it would be this video, which I would share the screen right now, but I think you might. It's not even a live show. It's from like 20 years ago from this newscast guy that was like in Indiana, and he was doing the nightly news of like the Pacers, and he's like, this is his like phrasing, right? He's like, Reggie Miller, three-point shot,
yeah,
and later he gets the rebound,
and boom goes the dynamite.
Boom goes the dynamite. And like,
that's
just like, listen, man, I used to watch basketball as a kid, but this is the last take you want from me and Alex. I think is why I can speak for him. Is you don't want that basketball take, but I will say I don't think it was Terry that's helped them get these last 2 wins. I think it's Trey Johnson and the basketball.
The basketball gods. The only thing you want to listen to me maybe least on would be maybe your golf swing. I think that could be the one thing that I might know less about.
Listen. No, that's wrong. Speaking of Indianapolis, that's wrong. Or was that Mobile? This guy right here sitting next to me, Alex Dunlap, sitting next to him every single day. He sit here, hasn't talked golf one time in 2 years of the show. You gonna bring up golf? The swindle of a lifetime.
What
is Alex Dunlap saying? I've never swung a golf club in my life.
I've swung a golf club. I just don't play golf. I don't know how.
We go to Top Golf.
I'm an athletic guy. I mean, it's like it's fine.
Listen, being good at Top Golf and being good at golf is not just I'm athletic. A lot of people I know that are athletic can't hit a ball straight, can't swing a golf club. Some of the most athletic basketball players can't swing golf clubs. It's horrendous. And Alex Dunlap.
How much time do you think I have in my life? I don't have any time to play golf, Cody. Like every minute of my day is completely. I don't know how to play golf. But man, I can nail it at Top Golf though.
I would rather take your opinion on swinging a golf club,
maybe so.
Basketball.
All right, but my opinion about DeAndre, Moore, is that. I went back and looked. I'm like, okay, so we know he had the hip pointer versus ULM. And he missed most of that game, right? It didn't matter. Backups were in that game super fast anyway. And then so I went back. It was the Arkansas game because I saw he only played 5 snaps. I went back and looked, and yes, indeed, he had an ankle in that one. And he came back into that next week. If you look at the injury reports, he started out that week questionable in the injury report, but by the end of the week, he was moved up to probable, and he played. He played 45% of snaps versus Kentucky. So that was actually a 5% higher rate than what his season average was. He averaged last season about 40% of snaps on the season. So right there in his wheelhouse. So played fine through the end of the season there versus A&M. Didn't miss any time. And then in the SEC championship game, which was the next week, he had 13 targets, season high, and he had 9 catches, 114 yards. I'd forgotten that he had that big a game versus Georgia. 13 targets. But then down the stretch, he wasn't anywhere near that productive. He wasn't that productive in any game this season, right? But if you look at his snaps, so he played 38 of 75 versus Clemson, 38 of 63 versus Arizona State, 45 of 71 against Ohio State. So he was playing almost more than usual. Yeah, I didn't notice him getting taken out of games. We had no reporting. Like there was nothing that would have led me to and that's why there's usually things about this team just don't take me by surprise the way that took me by surprise. I would at least know, I would have been surprised if they would have said, look, Anthony Hill is going to be a little bit banged up for the spring because we told you back in December. It's like, hey, even the stuff that wasn't reported, we've been like, hey, we heard from behind the scenes that he's a little bit banged. I even forgot at this point what he was banged up with.
But there was shoulder.
So his shoulder.
I think
something else.
Even that, like we forgot about that, right? Like I didn't even think about that the other day when Sark started naming players off.
Yeah, and then there was some stuff with Lafau. There was some stuff with a couple of these guys. I think that even um, uh, I think there wasn't there a little tiny something with DJ Campbell. Like these guys, a bunch of them were just
Yeah.
they were banged up guys. Long season. So uh, the the reason why this is interesting is because if DeAndre Moore does miss time this spring, so the slot position at Texas, it's been it's been a one man show, and I think that's mainly had to do with the fact that he's had Jordan Whittington and he's had DeAndre Moore, and the guys behind them haven't really been as good. But that would have been the case again this year with DeAndre Moore coming back as the most seasoned guy and the guy who they're kind of grooming to be that next Wit. Certainly a guy that sees himself as learning under Whittington, doing everything he can to be the Jordan Whittington of the team. Um, the two outside receiver positions, they're on the field for virtually every play. So like you can have guys come in and mix in at the outside wide receiver spots. Whenever you look during the time Sark has been here, though, um, when Texas goes to a two tight end set, which is 12 personnel, so that was 42% of the time in 2024. It was 33.33% of the time in 2023. It was 43.9% of the time in 2022 and 38.1% of the time in 2021. The third slot wide receiver comes off the field, right? Now, you could still have, let's say it was out there last year. Let's say it was Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. And it was some kind of unbalanced set where they were both on one side of the line of scrimmage with some tight end flexed out on the other side or a running back or something, right? Technically, the guy who's on the inside would be in the slot, right? So I'm not saying like that. I'm saying when there's a flanker and when there's an X and there's a slot, right? Like the third wide receiver slot. That guy comes off the field whenever Texas goes to 12 personnel, and also whenever Texas goes to any of these other lesser used personnel formations like the two back variations. 21. They did the stuff with like Devondre Sweat where it would be like a 23. That accounted for 7% of snaps last year, 9% of snaps in 2023, 19% of snaps in 2022. That had to do with Bijan and Roschon doing a bunch of two back sets. And then 10% in 2021. So basically, you take those numbers, you add them up, it's like 42% plus 7%, or 33% plus 19%. It always basically adds up to where the slot wide receiver is only on the field for between 45 and 50% of snaps. So that's less snaps for some guy to come in and play. No backup to DeAndre Moore is going to get to play. So during this spring, we're going to get a look at one. Does it even? I didn't even write about this, but first, do they play more 12 personnel and just play with the two wide receivers out wide? I don't think so because they don't have depth at tight end.
Yeah.
I'm not dying to see what it looks like with Spencer Shannon and Jordan Washington out there.
That's so I'm looking at 2023 deep dig, 2024 deep dig. I think this 2023 one I have is the final one. But it had 122 snaps for Sanders, Jatavian Sanders in line, 177 for Gunnar Helm in line, 101 for Ogbo, however the hell you say it, 101 for him in line. And this past year, 327 for Gunnar Helm in line. So he took up almost all of those snap outside of like 50 of them, which were split between Spencer Shannon and Nyblack. I wonder if it goes back more towards the three-way split, two-way split, whatever it is, and if those guys who I think these tight ends, I don't think Nick Towns is going to get much, but who knows? He's a freshman that's not even on campus yet. Amari Winston, Jordan Washington, I think classify more as like closer to a move tight end. I think Jordan Washington is probably going to end up being 250, 255 when the season starts, but how do they view them? How do they use them? Where do they fit? Where's their role fit? Also, like you said, they're very much unseasoned in game reps. So I wonder what that looks like. I thought this past year that we were going to see more, more potential four wide sets on a given week where it's 4 receivers. But I don't think, I don't even know how when the deep dig in the deep dig, is that empty when they go
Which
4
one?
wide?
Uh,
Oh,
they've
2?
never gone. They've never gone truly 4 wide under Sark.
Yeah. That was the thing. I thought that they might do it. So 2024 deep dig looks like you might have 1 snap on here. 0-2 empty. I think that's probably 4 wide, but it's probably just 3 with,
To
no.
with a was there one time? Maybe there was
No,
one.
your personalization utilization has, 0-2 empty.
So zero. Okay, no.
0
So
backs,
what that
2.
would have meant was that there was zero running backs, 2 tight ends, and 3 wide receivers.
Okay. Okay. So there's that. So I don't know.
What they've never done is they've never ran a true 4 wide with 4 wide receivers on the field all at the same time. Never. Sark's never done that. It's dating back to 2021. Not once.
Why not, man?
Don't know. Be a good question to ask him. Be a weird question. He might take offense to it.
I'm gonna get on the distribution list. I'm gonna fly into Austin. It's gonna be the first question I ever ask him.
Hey,
Sark, Sark,
hey,
coach.
coach.
Why do you never run 4 wide? You get all these studs. Why do you never run 4 wide?
So he has all these studs, and the question is, who's gonna like the name I call him was DeAndre Moore, and then who? It's like who? You want to
That's
go with the big slot? You want to put Michael Terry or Parker Livingstone in there? Parker Livingstone play. So that if you look at guys last year, who this is how little people play in the slot. If we look at last year, in 2024, in games where Moore didn't exit with an injury, so in 2024, not counting ULM and Arkansas, right? These were the only scholarship players who aligned as a third wide receiver in the slot. Jonte Cook did for 16 snaps. Silas Bolden did for 15 snaps. Parker Livingstone for 3 snaps. Golden for 1 snap. And Bond for 1 snap. So I guess you could say maybe Parker Livingstone could, but I kind of think he'll play outside. That would open things up maybe more for Khalil Lockett to get some more run over there, or Jamie French. I think we can lock in Wingo, and they're never going to put Wingo in the slot.
I think they're just. It's we talked about it a little bit last week. I think it's unrealistic to expect when you go to these practices to get full-blown takeaways from I know one of the big things when you go to these like fall camps and spring camps is getting like the personnel, where the guys are working, and like it's a big reaction for us to analyze where these guys are working out, right? Because it's inferred that they're trying to train for that towards a specific for the spring game or for the season to begin. I think when you go up to those OTA practices, hopefully they give you, a few opportunities.
Plenty of access, lots of access. You're
Lots
taking
of
away
access.
the spring game. We need lots of media access, Bianco.
And please. And
Please.
I think that the bigger takeaway will be, for me, selfishly, I would love to hear just your analysis on the guy playing the spot. Like if they give you opportunities to see stuff like that, which I don't know if they will or not, because you get like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. It's like if you get to
That's
hypothetically
only on
see,
those super swindly days. Generally, we get like half an hour, but there's some days when Sark kind of tells Bianco to get him out of here. You know what I mean?
I would love to just see obviously the personnel when you go in there and you go, oh, look, Aaron Butler's in the slot. Cool. But I would love to see like what does Aaron Butler look like in the slot? Who's playing next to him in that spot? And how you think he looks. Because I trust your eye. Obviously, you've been doing this for 15 years. Like what practice should look like. You know what the route should look like. You've only watched, 50,000 of them in your life. So if not more, 50,000 probably live. I think that'll be maybe my bigger takeaway, like when those spring practices start up, is not only where the guy's playing, because I think especially at the receiver position, they're going to be moving every single one of these guys in, out, left, right, everything,
Well,
because they're so young and there's so many of them that you just want to make sure you try to, pull the juice out at each position and see, okay, well, we didn't know that Jamie French is going to be best in the slot. I didn't expect that, but you put him there and you see what happens, and all of a sudden, he's pretty savvy now. I don't know, I think that's going to be something I'm most interested
Well,
in.
I mean, and clearly, I mean, yeah, I get that. I get it. And yeah, they're going to move them around and everything like that. But what you have to understand about the way that Sark runs practice and the way that Chris Jackson, I think it's more how Sark runs practice, right? But whenever they run and they go run routes on air, you have that's when you know and when you can see the pecking order and where at least where their home base is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even if during individuals and even during some of the 7-on-7 stuff, they're not going to let us see any team stuff because they're not going to be doing much team stuff anyway, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be doing much team stuff anyway. When they do those precious team drills that they use to get their film, they are not going to intermingle that with the time that the media is there. They just are not. They might not even do it when the parents are there, or the coaches. Maybe the high school coaches, maybe when they have them in for the clinic, but they're not going to do it around us. You can see during the routes on air, be it 7-on-7 or just be it the time where people honestly get most of their B-roll. We're going to get to see these for sure. And that's where you're going to see Wingo lined up at one, and I think Livingstone at the other, and a group of guys behind them. And they're all going to run, and then Arch is going to throw to him at first, and then Trey Owens is going to come up and throw to him after that, and then yada yada yada, and you're going to see them all go and see them kind of in an order, which you can kind of put together in your head. It's like, all right, well, that's at least how they're starting out as far as their home bases. And I'm just curious who's in the slot, right? I know who the first tight end is going to be up. I think it's Jordan Washington. I think I know it's going to be Wingo up there. I think it's going to be Livingstone. I don't know who's going to be first up in the slot. If it's not DeAndre Moore, there's no. It's just there's no obvious answer.
Why not? To me, it's either McCutcheon or Dubose.
I've seen neither hide nor hair of Freddie Dubose. Is that even the right word? Sounds like something my grandpa might have said. I've seen neither hide nor hair of that boy.
No trace of something lost or missing, hide
Yeah.
nor hair.
Yeah. I don't know about Dubose. I've never seen him at practice. I've never seen him run. I've never seen him go and catch a football. Never seen a lick of him. No one in the media has at Texas, unless they got to go to a special practice that I wasn't allowed at, because I've been to every open practice since that guy's been every open practice since I've been covering Texas. Somebody's in the chats asking about Aaron Butler. Here's how I handicap it. So the obvious, Dalen McCutcheon, he projects to take over the slot role for me once DeAndre Moore leaves, right? I would say maybe he's up next, but I'm a little bit concerned because Cody, having seen him live, thinks that he might be kind of a little light in the loafers right now to be, maybe somebody that you wouldn't have wanted to toss in. And
I think he is going to be the next one in line, but a year ago, I thought he was a little slight.
Okay.
Maturation happens, but a year ago, I thought that.
Yeah. So he's a rock star though, man. He's awesome. Yeah. Highlight reel, it reminds you of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I actually went and watched a little bit more of him today as I was writing this column just to make sure, kind of refresh myself. I'm like, dude, I mean, I think he could do it. The question is he going to be ahead of the curve? And because you're going to need to be ahead of the curve to be able to go in there and kind of be the number one. I can't see them moving Jamie French or Khalil Lockett into the slot. But we've seen Sark practice guys in weird spots. I'll never forget. I mean, Matthew Golden was working on routes against air out of the slot in the first practice of fall camp or maybe that was spring, whatever it was. The first time I saw Matthew Golden at Texas, he was working out of the slot. Obviously, that was nothing like his eventual role. Then there would be Wingo's out of the picture. Aaron Butler, that all that leaves us with is Aaron Butler. If you don't think about and then there's the Michael Terry Parker Livingstone theory. Can you use them as the big kind of outside linebacker, nickel corner size speed beaters Teams do that. Teams use big slot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Think Michael Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that leaves other guys just as one-offs as Aaron Butler and Freddie Dubose. I don't know. I'll need proof of life on Freddie Dubose, but Aaron Butler, man, he's a different type of player. He could bring a vertical kind of seam stretcher element. I think it's a matter of what you want. I mean, to me, I just find like who's next after DeAndre Moore? It's gonna.
I think I gotta go Dubose. I think that today, like I know you're saying, like hide no hair. I get it, but I think today I would just lean Dubose because of age, having a year up on McCutcheon, and I just think that there's too much ability for Michael Terry to potentially be at X, potentially be at Z, potentially be at running back, potentially be at tight end, to just be like, I think he's probably the next one up at slot. Like, I think that would be too focused. But it would be your biggest set if you potentially ran out there with Wingo, Terry, and Livingstone. Be a pretty big wide receiver core.
A beefy one.
Beefy one.
Three guys that could walk into Texas Beef Traders and really, really, really be happy. Look, anybody's going to be happy whenever they walk into Texas Beef Traders. Have you been to Texas Beef Traders? It's right there off of Loman's Crossing, right off 620 Loman's Crossing, heart of Lakeway. I know a lot of you guys have to commute by there because, gosh, man, the traffic is just always so bad. Why not stop into Texas Beef Traders after work? Grab a drink. Have Darren cook you up a steak or a burger, a Wagyu hot dog. He might have something good. He might be cooking up some kind of, you never even know. It's like I was there the other day and he was working on this like beef sauce, like a marinara, like spaghetti. Like I went in there and had this spaghetti with like a thing with like wine. It's like Texas Beef Traders is just amazing. It's a tasting room for wine, but it's all. I mean, the main attraction is the beef. The reason why he can feed you and give you all the food and stuff like that is because they're also a wine tasting room and a beer tasting place, and they might have some other stuff around there. I'm just telling you, you got to make it into Texas Beef Traders. You get 10% off. The beef is all vaccine free, it's antibiotics free, it's steroid free, all non-GMO feed. There are bovine nutritionists on all of these farms. These are herds that are, trust me, they are not intermingled with any other herds. These are beautiful animals processed right there at the facility, brought to Texas Beef Traders every Wednesday. You're getting fresh, like you hear about meat that's like fresh, never frozen. Imagine eating meat that was like it comes right from it's never been frozen. Now, I mean, some of it in the back has been frozen, I guess, but the whole front section, just meat that came in on Wednesday. Are you kidding me? You've never had anything more fresh, more delicious. It just looks different than the grocery store. You can go to TexasBeefTraders.com, make an order there, or order a box. Just make sure and get your 10% off. All right, it's you need to do it. We also have the QR code up there for our beef jerky. Football with Friends beef jerky is indeed tasty as hell. My favorite, my favorite is the hot honey beef jerky, but there's a QR code there. There's another one up in the corner. Make sure and go check it out. Support your boys here on Football with Friends. Support Darren and a great company, great bunch of farms at Texas Beef Traders, and do yourself a favor with your health. I'm so much healthier this year, and it has to do with some like workout stuff that I've implemented and all the rest. But honestly, dude, it's been eating good, clean. It's been kind of cutting out bread and just eating like having Texas Beef Traders here to where I can just have this meat on hand that's good, clean protein that I don't have to worry about filling my body up with all kinds of antibiotics and all this weird stuff that I don't want in it. It makes it really easy to live a lot healthier life. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com.
Texas Beef Traders, final take. Unpopular take. I'm assuming here. Found something better than Piedmontese ground beef.
What is it?
Wagyu burgers.
Oh, okay. You like those?
Dude,
did you have them today?
Yes, I made the Wagyu burgers, and they're formed into patties, right? But I made them on the Blackstone with a bunch of vegetables: zucchini, peppers, carrots, beans. What else did I have in there? I chopped up some garlic, and then I had cauliflower rice on the side. I put Alpha seasoning on the Wagyu burgers, and I chopped them right at the end. I chopped the burger up into like 8 pieces, right? So I didn't like grind it up, but I just had it little chunks. And
Mhm.
I'm telling you, Alex, I didn't cook it to completion. I cooked it to like a medium. There was still some pinkage in that Wagyu beef, which I like a little bit in a hamburger, but generally I like to cook it till it's done.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm telling you, that was the best. That was the best hamburger I've had. I had the Piedmontese the night before, right?
Yeah.
Last night. Tonight, before the show, I had dinner, and I'm telling you, brother. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, brother.
The Wagyu's good, man.
The
I mean,
Wagyu is
it's
fantastic.
all it's all very good. It is a final takes Thursday, so we will need you guys to vote for final takes. It looks like, man, between 500 and 600 of you watching live, not as usual, not as many on YouTube as there are on X. So shout out to X, shout out to everybody here on YouTube, and everybody in the Specs chat line. Like we said, creeping up towards 600 of you guys. We can't thank you enough for being here, and of course. I have a story to tell you about these guys, but the Specs chat line is of course brought to you by our good friends at Specs.
At Specs, it doesn't cost a lot to turn a good time into a great time, especially if you like saving money. From connoisseur collectors to aficionados of ale, you'll find bubbly bliss at any budget with a Texas-sized selection of world-class wines, rare spirits, craft beers, and more. So when you're getting ready for a good time, Specs is ready to make it great. Because at Specs, the fun starts here.
Shop Specs, low priced, amazing. Here's to you.
Yes, okay. Football with friends is indeed fun as hell. So happy to be here with you guys. If you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, we would certainly appreciate that. The way that Final Takes works is we'll put up a link to voting, and what is it, Cody? It's a voting thing on YouTube. And you guys can go and click for whether Cody or I are the king of final takes for the week. Just a reminder, you know, life is generally better whenever you vote me in to office as the king of final takes. So keep that in mind. And remember, no show tomorrow. So this will be the final show of the week. All right, Cody, do you want to pick the first one?
Well, yeah. I mean, I want to know if that was an unpopular take first. I want to know if it's unpopular to you that I would pick Wagyu over Piedmontese.
No, I mean, I think Piedmontese is a lot healthier, right?
I would agree with that 100%.
But I mean, I mean, it's hard to deny that Wagyu tastes. I mean, yeah, it tastes incredible. I mean, it all is awesome.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like this might be the most important question of the night. So I just want to get off to a good start in the voting, and just wanted to make sure you didn't mess that up. Because if you played the coward route, right, like you just did, and said both of them are good, that means you should vote for Cody.
Well, I'll tell you this. Look, if I had to choose one that I had to eat just for one night, I'd say give me a Wagyu burger. If you told me I could choose one for the rest of my life, I'd say give me the Piedmontese.
Okay, that's fair. All right, here's a real final take.
Wait. Let me tell you about Specs. They're very helpful, and the best thing happened to me today.
Oh boy, did you wait? Is this a story about the guy that we haven't heard from in like a year?
No, that guy quit telling me about Hornitos after the second time I did the trick on him. But one guy there told me, I'm like, hey, where's the Casamigos? And because they were kind of out, they went look, but he said he had some in the bag, but he's like, man, that's got a bunch of additives and stuff. Like, you ought to try this one. And I'm like, no, man, trust me, I get Casamigos every time. It's like, and he's like, I got one at Specs. He let me taste this. He goes, it's all natural. It has a lot of the same flavor profiles. It's just cheaper, and you're not gonna have to give money to George Clooney.
That's the.
I've been dying for a reason not to get Casamigos. I think it's
get out these golden handcuffs, aren't you?
I think Clooney's got me by the golden handcuffs, dude. He let me taste this tequila. It tastes just like Casamigos. It's cheaper and it's all natural with no additives. I wish I remember the name of it, but I think it's called like La Familia Flores. But anyway, that's just the kind of that's the kind of service that you get at Specs.
Oh, that's a cool bottle.
It's unbelievably cool. It's got this
beautiful
thing on the
bottle.
top. It looks like it generally whenever there's a tequila bottle or something like that, my dad would always tell me the fancier looking the bottle, probably the crappier the spirit. Because
Trying to cover it up.
yeah, but I'm telling you, that is good. It tastes like it has that hint of vanilla that I really love in Casamigos. So give that a try if you're into tequila. It's a really good alternative. And apparently no additives. All right, final takes.
All right, final takes. This is one from my NIL piece this past day, up on Orange Bloods. Oklahoma's quarterback John Mateer, who transferred from Washington State with Ben Arbuckle, his NIL deal allegedly, according to Pete Nakos from On3, sits around $3 million. That is accurate, number one, and that's believable. Like that's a lot. Like,
Of course, it's believable. These guys are millionaires. I can't believe it. So he better be good.
but do you think that there's a tax inherently put on that? Do you like I wrote back?
I don't know if Oklahoma has state income tax.
No. That's not what I meant. I meant, do you think there's an inherent Oklahoma tax put onto that? Like, do you think that it had to be 3 million to get Mateer to go there? Or do you think, I'm phrasing this wrong. He's probably worth not 3 million. Like, he's a good quarterback, maybe 1.5, maybe 2. Do you think there's a little bit of a tax bumped in there because of where Oklahoma's sitting right now as a team?
No.
So you think that's just fair game, fair money? Because if he's worth 3,
I think it's No, I think. Well, look, man, it's like
Arch is worth 10.
the
True as well. If Mateer's worth 3,
were there any reports about how much Arch is making?
I think his valuation was like 6.2, 6.4.
Well, Arch is just. I mean, a miles more marketable asset, right? As just like the Manning name, and everybody knows. Like, he's gonna go on a commercial. People would be like, oh, they're gonna watch it. They're gonna be like, who's John Mateer? But I will say, watching some of the highlights from the what was that camp called? Camp Crimson or some Freaks of the Circus, or what was it called?
Freaks of the Circus. What are you talking about? You talking about last week
Freaks
in Oklahoma?
of the Future.
Future Freaks.
Yeah. So they had some practices that they had. Like
you had my brain in a tizzy for a second right there. I was like, what?
The Circus Freaks, the it'd be the Carnival Freaks up there in Okie. I saw some highlights of Mateer, doing the stuff where, like, I mean, making some good throws downfield and stuff like that. Receivers getting open and him like running down the field, waving his arms, jumping up, doing the chest bumping, all that. I mean, it feels like he's
Baker.
He's coming there. He's coming there. He looks like he's out there having some fun and being a leader. And obviously, I think he's but
got some Baker energy.
Yeah. Look, kind of like that. He kind of does. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But I think that, I think that $3 million at a big school like Oklahoma is probably about what you get. And I think that he would have liked to come to Oklahoma, even if he got a little bit less than that, because he got to stay with his offensive coordinator, and he gets to, I mean,
keep that up. Yeah.
It's a big bump up from Washington State to Oklahoma.
Yeah, but I feel like I guess what other spot needed a quarterback? I wonder if A&M would have given him more money.
But A&M didn't have his offensive coordinator.
I understand that.
Yeah. He doesn't have to learn a whole new system. Okay. How about this one? This is one I really wanted to ask you about. Okay, so this is a cockamamie thing, right? You're an NFL GM. You can magically draft one of these guys with a 3rd round pick in 2025. Okay?
Oh, I love this.
Lenoris Sellers, Garrett Nussmeier, DJ Lagway, Cade Klubnik, and The other part is your division rivals each get one of the other 3 that you didn't select.
Ooh, the twist.
So, yeah, so first of all, do you take the deal? Second of
What's
all,
my other option? You just say,
you don't
nah.
take the deal because I don't want them to. I don't want to pass. I don't want to. It would be cowardly. But you could
Give
say,
me a
no, man. Like let's say, like if I'm the
give me a division. Let's put some realism on this. Give me a
all
division.
right. Well, I'm trying to think of one that's
Just say a division. First thing comes to
no,
mind.
because it's I'm trying to think of quarterback needy division.
No. We'll just blank the quarterbacks that are in the current situations. Just
All
give me a
right,
division.
AFC South.
Okay, AFC South. Perfect. It's exactly what I was thinking of, to be honest. All right.
And who are you GM of?
I'm the GM of the Jags.
Okay.
No.
You want to be what's his name?
Yeah, no. I want to do Colts. I'll be the Colts. I want to be
Gladstone.
the Colts. I want to be indoors. I'll be the Colts indoors.
Okay.
I'll take Lagway.
Oh,
right.
and so if I'm the Texans, you're just going to leave me my choice. So I get Lenoris.
Wait, I thought I got the. Okay, yes, that's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to give you Lenoris because I think
No.
Lenoris is it's probably the best spot for him. Gosh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm trying to think of where I can have these guys fail. I know this isn't good.
But I mean, whoever you send to Houston is not going to. Whoever you sends to, well, I guess you're saying quarterback agnostic.
I think if I send Cade to Houston, he doesn't do as well.
Why? You said that the quarterbacks don't matter.
What do you mean the quarterbacks don't matter?
You're saying, I said, well, I was going to think about a quarterback needy division, and you said, no, we won't take quarterbacks into account.
Yeah, no, you just blank take all the quarterbacks out of that division.
Okay, and so
we're
you're
getting a new draft.
but you're keeping the same team, same coaching staff.
Correct. So I think Cade in that offense is fine, but he's not like he doesn't tier up. I think DJ Lagway in Indianapolis, I can make him a superstar. In Jacksonville and in Tennessee, we got Nuss.
You got to send Nuss to Tennessee,
and he'll just
probably he could have a Will Levis type career arc.
Just turd out, and then that leaves Sellers in Jacksonville to just bake in the sun and just be fine. But he's running on grass.
I might be a coward and just not take the deal. Have my whole fan base be like, "Why'd you take that deal?" and send Lenoris to and you picked Lagway. If Lagway doesn't turn out to be good, I think I might coward out.
Well, yeah, okay. You can have your Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones then. This is a phenomenal question. Did you copy this from somewhere? Or did you just make it
but I wanted to have Arch on there, but I realized that Arch would make it all completely unfair.
This is just pure Galaxy brain. I love it.
All right. What do you want to put up next here?
All right. Kirby Smart was asked why he doesn't have a GM. And he said, and I quote, "At the end of the day, I'm not ready to run off and go hire somebody that's just going to make the decisions for what goes on the field. I think I've got to stay involved in that heavily." Initial thoughts.
At the end of the day, I'm not ready to run off and go hire somebody that's just going to make decisions for what goes on what goes on
the field.
On the field. I think I've got to stay involved in that heavily. Make decisions for what goes on the field,
which means he doesn't want somebody else to be like, "Yeah, I want that D tackle." Kirby wants to be the one to say, "I want that D tackle."
Well, I think that this is maybe more of a matter of, and I'm not sure whether it's something lost in translation with what we understand about his answer, or about something that's lost in translation about what he understands about the nature of what's happening in college football right now. And I'd venture to guess that what's lost in translation is probably on our end of the transmission, because Kirby Smart's a really smart and good coach.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't define his support. Maybe he's got a guy that's like Brandon Harris or his Jim Nagy, or I don't think anybody, these guys are very different, right? He's probably got a guy like that, but he just doesn't call him a GM. He's assistant director of football personnel and operations.
Bingo.
Like recruit. it's almost like, I don't know, man. Some of the time, at Texas, whenever Brandon Harris was sort of elevated to that GM position, it felt like he was elevated to that GM position in a name, for one, for a reward for how well he'd done from whatever his old job. I forgot even what his old job was, but it was one of those kinds of jobs. And also the fact that, man, Sark brought in a bunch of other dudes that needed to be like the director of high school scouting, director of personnel, director of all the rest of it. And the guy who's staying here that's going to kind of be the head of him, like, let's make him general manager, and we'll just, right. So that was just a function of that, right? It was a function of how logistically things were going to work just from a human resources standpoint, right? It's an org chart. There are some spots where you hear that they're hiring general managers where it feels almost like this is a not a ploy and not like a Hail Mary, but it's like something where it's like trying to inject some buzz and bring some spice and energy. Stanford making Andrew Luck the general manager.
Isn't that one interesting? That's interesting.
Oklahoma making Jim Nagy their general manager. These are things where it's like these programs right now that have been flailing. It's obviously a play to make them better and bring talented people on to help them identify ways that they can improve. But it's also a little bit of something that you do to kind of show the world that you're keeping up with the Joneses. I don't think Georgia has to prove to the world that. Have you heard anything that, I mean, have you heard of anything really, any major? And I mean, I know that Alabama just kind of moved some dude to general manager. I haven't really heard a whole lot about this. They have not made a big deal about it in the press. Because at Alabama, they don't really have to.
Wait. What did they just move somebody new there? Courtney Morgan, I thought, has been there for a couple of years.
Oh, I thought that he was just elevated to the actual role of general manager over the course of the last year. If he's not, that's fine. I thought that was only this year that it had happened, and maybe that's why we didn't hear much about it.
I think it was when DeBoer got there, but I don't stand corrected.
Okay, well then, so we'll see. But that's another one where it's like that change occurred because of an org chart issue. It wasn't because of them trying to. That's a whole new group coming in, if that makes sense. It wasn't like they publicized. It's like, hey guys, we have a GM now. If that makes sense.
100%.
Texas didn't say, hey guys, we have a GM. It's like, no, like
he was a
bit of a news blurb saying, hey, they've elevated Brandon Harris to GM. They're bringing in these 8 new scouting guys, and that's that.
Director of recruiting was the title you were looking for with Harris, by the way.
That's okay. So yeah, I think that I think Kirby's gonna be just fine. I don't see this as being a Dabo where he's just like he's staring down the barrel of NIL and transfer portal and just saying, "No, man, just shoot me in the face. I'm not doing it." You know what I mean? It's like that. That's not it. All right, how about this? Oh, did you want to ask one more thing about that?
I'll go after you.
The Bears. So they seem to have solidified their offensive line very well through free agency, with the exception of left tackle. Which is Braxton Jones. It's still not terrible, but they've addressed every single other position, right, along the whole offensive line. Considering the right tackle that they took in the draft, was that 2 years? Was that Darnell Wright?
Yes, Darnell Wright from Tennessee, and then they took Braxton Jones from Utah.
I forgot where Braxton Jones is from. But then they got the two new
Southern Utah.
But they replaced the whole interior of the offensive line with good play. Dowman
and they drafted Kieran Omega. Remember how his name was last year from Yale? Omega Deje.
Good luck getting me to get that one.
But no, they drafted him as well to play tackle, and that was one of their 3 picks last year, or 4 picks last year. The punter, Austin Booker, and Caleb, and then Kieran.
At pick 10, do you take Ashton Genty or finish the OL overhaul for Caleb Williams with the Kelvin Banks? Or you could do it with I guess you could do it with a Membu.
Membu's going to be gone.
You think Membu's going to be gone before? Do you think he's going to go to the Patriots?
Membu's going to be gone. I don't have him to the Patriots. So my mock, I'm almost done with it. It's going to be up in roster watch, hopefully tomorrow. I got Membu at 6 to the Raiders. Booker's the next offensive lineman off the board to the Saints at 9. Kelvin Banks goes 10th to the Bears. I don't think this Genty thing, I get it. I don't agree with it one bit. Genty to the Bears. It make no sense. It's got to be Banks. Has to be Banks. Will be Banks.
Well, what if Banks and Membu are both available?
Well, I don't think Membu moves to left, and Darnell doesn't.
Darnell played left at Tennessee.
He doesn't feel like a.
He feels more like a right tackle.
Yeah.
Membu just plays so well at right tackle. I'm not sure. I was just like, man, I don't want to mess with a thing about Membu.
Yeah.
Watching that guy's like poetry in motion.
And Will Campbell, like you're not selling me on that. And maybe the Bears are sold. I don't know. I'm not.
Did you see that? Did you see that that Google sheet that Matt Miller tweeted out yesterday with every NFL team starting offensive tackles when they were drafted and their arm length?
Ooh, that sounds like a good tweet.
Yeah. So, well, it's amazing when you look at these teams. It's so most of these teams have 2 offensive tackles who are taking like first round. It's crazy. It's wild. But I think there's only one I saw on there. And you got to go all the way to the bottom that has a shorter arm measurement as a starter in the league at tackle. And that you have to go down to the Bucks, and it's Luke Goedke.
Mm-hmm.
The only one. The only one. So you got to be a 1 in 64 outlier with that arm length. No, but the film is awesome for Campbell. And it's just hard to, with Kelvin Banks, I just keep coming back to this. Like, people were worried about his arms, and his arms measured pretty much just fine, and his wingspan is giant.
Him and Cam are the 2 of the 3 biggest wingspans at the event, and the only guy with a bigger wingspan was 6'8".
Yeah, so I don't know. I
think this is Banks, and it's not even close, to be honest with you.
You don't think Banks could even end up maybe going to the Patriots?
Oh yeah, like I totally believe in that. Like I guess I've succumbed to the helium or the what's the opposite of helium? Like the depression,
plutonium,
the depression of Banks's stock, which I disagree with and had disagreed with the whole time. And I've thought it's a flat circle and he belongs in the top 10, and that there's people that have dropped him to the 20s, which I think is absolutely and utterly cockamamie. But I don't know if I'll ever have him fall past 10 the rest of the way.
I like that. All right, let's get in one more final take. Then we'll wrap up the voting here.
I'm just going to say one thing. I don't have it written out in a final take, but I'm going to say it loud. And that is, question for you. Last year, Ryan Wingo had the highest drop rate on the team. 12%. There is a rather crazy nugget in the war room right now about why. And it would make sense. And it's going to be, he was the highest graded, PFF graded freshman receiver last year. He might have been legally blind.
Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. Is that all right? I got to go read the war room. fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find Cody on. Wow.
Shout out to Anwar for that, by the way.
Cody on X, at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap, NFL. Man, you guys have a great weekend, man.
Oh, no, we tied.
Be careful. Gosh. Be careful out there. If you guys are listening to us in the Southeast, man, make some preparations. It feels like there's going to be some weather and some storms. There's also some weather and some storms hitting the Panhandle, Northwest Texas, hurricane force winds, just some weird stuff going on. So hopefully I won't get blown out of any ground blind, and my ground blind won't get blown away. So prayers up for everybody out there, man. We'll be back next week. 6 to 7 football with friends. We ask you for the 4 things every single time. Please like the show. Please subscribe to the channel. It's a very the amount of work that you guys have to do that. It's completely not commiserate with like how much that helps us. So if you could, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. Please tell a friend about the show if you think they would be into it. Most importantly, just keep coming back, man. We love you guys. Have a great, great, great weekend. Have a great Friday. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.